there, this is Sarah with Badger Archery, and I have a customer's bow here that we're going to change the strings out on. And I'd like to chat with you guys a little bit. I get a lot of questions of how do I know my bow is ready for new strings. So a few things: if you wax your strings and they look like a fuzzy bear, even with wax, that's a good indicator. Another one is any sort of stirring separation around the cams. As you can see, this bow has had this set of strings on there for a couple years now, and they're pretty toast. Center serving, if the strings aren't terrible, we can just replace that. But this bow is definitely due for some new strings. The other thing, the bow is not quite at spec after strings have stretched. It's pulling 58 pounds right now, and this is a 60-pound limb, so I expect that after we change the strings on this and put the cams in time and everything, we'll be back up to our 60 pounds. So after we change the strings, we'll make sure everything's at spec. We'll get our cam timing adjusted, and I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do a little video and walk you through that process and step back a little so people can see my face. So anyway, I've got a set of drop tine custom bowstrings here, and this is one of my, I really love the strings from Drop Tine. They're really nice quality. It's a BCY low wax material, so it doesn't, it has the properties of not having a lot of stretch or peep twist, but it also seems to hold up a lot better to like our wear and tear of hunting than some of the other materials that are out there. So I'm gonna get these thrown on this bow and walk you guys through the process a little bit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I have scaled the bow already, and it's scaling at 58 pounds. I am going to take some measurements. The other thing I would say too is when you take your bow in to get your strings replaced, leave your shop an arrow, so then that way they can get your rest height and your tied knocks or whatever you end up choosing to do, everything set just right, so you're not getting any knock pinch or anything like that. Those are things that can really be detrimental to your bow. So anyway, I'm gonna take some measurements here. I don't do these very often or at all, so I'm a little clumsy, so you just have to bear with me. So his peep sight is right at 6 1/8. And I always write this stuff down: poundage, axle length, where everything is before I take everything apart. If you haven't done this job a lot, I would highly suggest taking some pictures before you take anything apart, because it's better to have the pictures and not need them than to get partway through and wonder what goes where. So I've changed plenty of these, so I'm not going to worry about it, but it's just a little advice for anybody who wants to DIY any of their own string changes. None of this is hard. It's just experience does obviously help and makes you a little more comfortable. I went ahead and removed, there's a paper clip on these strings when you get them so you don't lose your twists. So I took the one off the strings here, or the string. So another little thing is, how do I know which is the top and which is the bottom of the string? There's a little serving where the draw stop is, but also they usually put a little string in there that's an indicator of where your peep is going to go. So then that way when you split your string to put the peep in, everything is ready to go. So the other thing, when I press a bow, I try not to take any more pressure off the bow than I need to. I think a lot of people get into trouble when they start putting too much pressure on their bow. It can crack limbs. Another little trick, if you have a roller guard like on some of the bows, like the Bowtex or the Matthews, sometimes as I told you not to remove any twists and I drop it, not a big deal. Sometimes you do have to disassemble this roller guard to get things to fit how they should. Sorry, Drea, I don't know if there's any archery gold in this or not. We'll see. So that was our bus cable. I just kind of know, usually these have a little cam lean. You'll notice your cable guard pulls your cables off to the side. If you know, there's more tension on this side than this side in the system. So I always kind of have a habit, just out of experience, of adding about 3 twists to this little yoke here. Usually puts me pretty close with cam lean, but I will adjust left and right accordingly as I need to throughout the process. Next is our control cable. This one's really easy to put on upside down. There's one serving that's longer than the other. So you want to think about which way the cam rolls when the bow gets drawn back. So on this particular bow, the short serving is going to go on this side and the longer serving is going to go on this side. And that's actually true for most bows, but pay attention to which serving is on which end, so then that way you don't accidentally put this control cable on upside down, because you will wear out it'll be wearing on your string instead of on the serving like it's supposed to. So all of these things, you know, I feel like I've done all of these things wrong at least once and learned the hard way. Try to do this without having to take this apart. I had to do this one time with about 30 people watching me when I went and did the ATA bow technician training, which was a interesting experience. Worked on a lot of bows in my life, but not with 30 people watching at the same time. 2 people is not that big of a deal, but 30 is. So anyway, I've got the strings and cables switched on this, and we'll start getting everything set. So one thing just to make sure of if you use a press is that you want to make sure that your strings and cables are truly in the tracks that they need to before you take it out of the press. There's where your cable rides on. Sometimes it's easy to have that not quite sit on the post, and that can cause you a bow explosion you don't want to have. And same with your strings truly being in the tracks. You want to make sure that all of that is good before you take your bow out of the press. I like to hold up on the string just a little bit as I pull it out of the press, and that helps me make sure everything's in the track correctly, but also that, you know, when this string is slack, it could accidentally roll off when I take it out of the press. So I put a little tension there, and we're going to take it out of the press, and then we're going to start setting his D-loop and knock height for his arrows that he's shooting. And then from there, we'll start our tuning and making sure, double checking everything's in spec. So that's kind of the order I usually go through things in, and I'll go ahead and walk you through that as well.